This tutorial is for clue 9 of the Brilliance pattern, which is the Expression Fiber Arts 2024 Mystery Knit Along pattern. As with my other videos, there will be timestamps in the video description so that you can just jump to the rows that you want to see or the part that you want to see. Before I begin working the pattern rows, however, I am going to do a short tutorial demonstrating how to work the 4 cable stitches in this. So the cable 4 back, the cable 4 front, and then the twist 4 back, twist 4 front. I'm going to demonstrate how to do those without a cable needle. So that will be first, and then I will work all 8 of the pattern rows. I did want to remind you that if you are working, depending on which version you're working, you may not be starting with row 1. You may be, so there are setup rows that you need to do first, and then once you have done the setup rows, if you're working the symmetrical versions, you're actually going to be starting in a different place. You're going to be starting with row 5, not row 1. So just wanted to make sure that you were aware of that before we get started. So let's start with working some cables without using a cable needle. Okay, so I just have a small swatch here. The beginning of my swatch, I'm actually going to work the cable 4 front and then the cable 4 back, and then the second part of the swatch I'll be doing the twist stitches. So I actually did put up another video that's more generic on working cable stitches without a cable needle, and specifically bigger cables. So we did, I included in the clue 8 pattern how to work, actually the clue 7 pattern, sorry. I did include in the clue 7 pattern how to work the two stitch cables, the left twist and right twist cables without a cable needle. But with bigger cables, there's actually a different technique that you use. So I did link that video in the description below if you're just interested on more of a generic how-to of working cable stitches. The only thing is to work these cable stitches without a cable needle, you have to kind of know in your head which one you're doing where, because it's not, I didn't write it out for this one. Okay, that's not technically true. I did write it out. I didn't include it in the pattern, but if you want it, drop me a note and I will be sure to get it to you. But it's, again, it's just for this pattern, so it's not comprehensive of all cable stitches everywhere. So let's do some cabling. Let me get over to my cables here. Okay, let's begin with the cable 4 front. All right, let's zoom in a little bit. So a cable 4 front is a left-leaning cable, which means these first 2 stitches here need to come across the front to the left, and the next 2 stitches, stitches 3 and 4, are going to come across the back to the right. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my right needle, I'm going to come behind stitch 1 and 2, and I'm going to insert it purlwise into stitch 3 and 4. I'm going to pinch stitch 1 and 2 at their base, and then I'm going to pull my needle out, my left needle out. I'm going to bring my left needle across the front and go back purlwise into stitch 2 and 1. Then I'm going to bring these stitches that are on my right needle around and put them on the tip of my left needle. So when you're doing this, you want to be sure that you're getting the stitches, that you're getting the tip of the needle through the center of the stitches. And then when you're working into each stitch, 2 things. First, you want to make sure that you are working into the actual stitch and that you're not snagging parts of the back or the front or parts of the other stitch. You want to make sure that you're not splitting the stitch at all. And then when you're working into the stitch, you want to work that new loop all the way up on the shaft of your needle each time. That's going to give you more even cables. So once you've repositioned the stitches, you're just going to knit each one in the order that it appears. So that is a cable 4 front without a cable needle. Let me get over here to my next one. All right, now let's do a cable 4 back without a cable needle. So a cable 4 back is actually going to bring stitches 3 and 4 across the front. So those are going to come across the front to the right, and stitches 1 and 2 are going to go across the back to the left. I find it much easier to do right-leaning stitches by putting all the stitches that I need to rearrange on my right needle first. and that's because of cable stitches, generally the stitches that go across the front, whether they're right leaning or left leaning, are usually in stockinette stitch. Not always, but they're commonly stockinette stitch, and stockinette stitch wants to roll like this to the front. And so if I try to go into the stitches that need to come across the front here with my left needle, go purlwise into them from the front, when I pull these 2 stitches off of the back, when I pull the needle out, they're going to come like this. They're going to come underneath this needle, and they're going to be very hard for me to pick up. So I put everything on my right needle first, so 4 stitches onto my right needle. Then I'm going to bring my left needle behind the 2 stitches that are going across the front. So we still have stitch 1, 2, 3, and 4. So 3 and 4, I'm going to go behind those, and then I'm going to go purlwise into stitch 2 and 1 with my left needle. Then I'm going to pinch over here at the base and pull my right needle out of all 4 stitches, and then bring that across the front into stitch 3 and 4. And then I'm going to bring those around, put them on the tip of my left needle, and then I can just knit everything in the order that I've put it. Again, making sure that I'm going through the center of each stitch each time and working the new loop all the way up onto the shaft of my right needle so that my stitches are even. And right here I snagged a little bit of extra when I did that, so I want to make sure I get my needle out of that. And that is a cable 4 back without a cable needle. So I have one more stitch on here. I'm going to go ahead and do the cable 4 back one more time for you. But before I do it, I'll show you how I would do it if it was a cable 4 front. So if it was a front, cable 4 front is a left leaning stitch, so I would come behind the first 2 with my right needle and purlwise into the 3rd and 4th stitch, pinch everything, pull my left needle out, come across the front of stitch 3 and 4, and then purlwise into 1 and 2, and then bring those stitches around, put them on, and knit. So because it's not, because I'm going to do a right leaning cable, which is the cable 4 back, I'm going to do it the opposite way. So I'm going to put all the stitches on my right needle to start, making sure I've got each stitch going through the center of each stitch. I'm going to bring my left needle behind stitch 3 and 4 and go purlwise into stitch 2 and 1. Pinch everything at the base, bring my right needle out, bring it around the front, and then go purlwise into stitch 3 and 4, bring them around, put them on the tip of my left needle, and then knit them in the order that they appear. So that again is the cable 4 back. Okay, so the next set of stitches that I'm going to do are actually the twist stitches, and you're still moving the stitches in the same manner. You're still moving the left leaning stitches the way that I just moved them. You're moving the right leaning stitches the way that I moved them. The only difference is you're not knitting every stitch, you're purling half of the stitches. Work each stitch as it presents, I believe is what you're going to find most commonly in a knitting pattern. So sometimes you come across a pattern where on the wrong side row, it'll tell you to knit the knits and purl the purls, or work each stitch as it presents. And that's what we're going to do. We're just going to reorder the stitches first. So to begin with, we have a twist 4 back, which is a right leaning stitch. And so what I'm going to do with my right leaning stitches, my right leaning cables, I always put all the stitches on my right needle to begin. I'm going to bring my left needle behind stitch 3 and 4, purlwise into stitch 1 and 2, or 2 and 1, pinch at the base of these stitches that I'm going to be pulling off that aren't going to be they're not going to be on any needle for a moment. I'm just going to pinch those at the base, pull my right needle out, and then come purlwise into both of those stitches, bring them around the front, put them on my left needle, and then I'm going to work each stitch as it appears. So I've got 2 knit stitches to start. So knit 1, knit 2, and then I have 2 purl stitches that follow. So I'll purl the next 2. Again, making sure that I'm working into the center of each stitch and working the loop that I create onto the shaft of my needle before starting each stitch. All right, so my twist 4 back is followed by a twist 4 front. That's a left leaning stitch, so I'm going to bring my right needle behind stitch 1 and 2 and go purlwise into stitch 3 and 4. Pinch everything at the base, pull my left needle out of all 4 stitches, come across the front with my left needle and go purlwise into stitch 2 and 1. Bring the stitches on my right needle around and put them on my left needle, and then work them as they present. So I've got the first 2 stitches are both purl stitches. It's a little hard to see the second one because the cable is kind of leaning over it, but I'm going to purl first stitch, purl second stitch, making sure I get all the way into the center of that stitch, and then knit third stitch and the fourth stitch. And because of the way these cables lie, I'm actually going to be able to work them a couple more times, so I'm going to go ahead and do that. Again, we have a twist 4 back, and so these 4 stitches are going to come to my right needle first. My left needle is going to come behind into stitch 2 and 1, purlwise, pinch at the base, pull my right needle out, bring it across the front into stitch 3 and 4, bring those across the front, put them on the tip of the left needle, and then work them in the order that they appear. So 2 knit stitches first, and 2 purl stitches following. And then the twist 4 front is a left leaning stitch, so these first 2 stitches need to come across the front, so I'm going to go behind them with my right needle and go purlwise into stitch 3 and 4, pinch at the base, bring my left needle out, bring it across the front, and purlwise back into stitch 2 and 1. Bring these stitches on my right needle around and put them on the tip of my left needle, and then work them in the order they appear. So I have 2 purl stitches. Oops. Again, you want to make sure you're not splitting your stitches. Working straight into the center, working each new loop up onto the shaft of your right needle, and then 2 knit stitches. All right, the twist stitches one more time. So the twist 4 back, all 4 stitches go onto my right needle. Left needle comes across the first 2 stitches across the back, go purlwise into the next 2. So this is stitch 1 and 2. I'm going purlwise into them, pinch at the base, pull my right needle out, bring it across the front and go purlwise into stitch 3 and 4. Bring those around, put them on the tip of my left needle, and then work everything as it appears. So I have 2 knit stitches, and then 2 purl stitches. And then 1 more twist 4 front. So this is a left leaning cable. I'm going to bring my right needle across the back of those 2 stitches, go purlwise into stitch 3 and 4, pinch stitch 1 and 2 at the base, pull my left needle out, bring the left needle across the front, purlwise into stitch 2 and 1, bring the stitches on the right needle across the back and put them on the tip of the left needle, and then work them in the order that they present. So 2 purl stitches, and then 2 knit stitches. And that is how you work the 4 cables for clue 9 without a cable needle. So now let's work clue 9. Okay, so I'm actually going to be working specifically the pattern that is going to be the shawl and the blanket. If you are doing the symmetrical blanket and the symmetrical shawl, make sure you're doing setup row B correctly, because I'm going to be demonstrating setup row B that's for just the regular blanket and shawl, not the symmetrical versions. And also remember that you are supposed to begin on row 5 after you've worked setup B if you're doing the symmetrical versions. So setup A for all the versions, including, let's just talk a little bit about the transitioning and the edge stitches. So if you are working with the seed stitch edges, when you do set up row A, you're just going to be knitting across the stitches on either end, all 5 stitches. And then when you turn to do setup B, you're going to knit that first stitch instead of slipping it. And if you're doing the I-cord edges, you're just transitioning them in. You're going back from at the end of row 16 of clue 8, you're going to do those 5 stitches on the edge, and then you're going to finish the transition in at the beginning of the setup A row. And then over here at the end of the setup A row, you're going to begin transitioning, and this is to the color I at the end with those stitches, and then finish that when you start working setup row B. So setup row B, again, this is just setup B that is for the regular blanket and the regular shawl, not the symmetrical versions. You're going to finish your edge stitches. So again, if you're working the seed stitch edge, you do want to knit that first stitch instead of slipping it. And if you're doing the I-cord edges, you're just finishing that transition to your color I, or if you're doing the swatch, then the dark color. And then again, this is just for the blanket and shawl. The symmetrical version is different, so make sure you follow that pattern. You're going to start with a knit 1, purl 2, and then knit 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then you're just going to do a repeat of purl 4, 2, 3, 4, knit 4, 2, 3, 4, and do that repeat again, purl 4, 2, 3, 4, knit 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and you just keep doing that repeat until you have 3 stitches left, and then you're going to purl 2 and knit 1. Slip your stitch marker, work your edge stitches. Again, if you're doing, sorry, my yarn is somehow stuck. Sorry about that. So if you're doing the I-cord edge, just work the regular wrong side I-cord edge. And if you're doing the seed stitch, work your regular seed stitch edge. All right, so that takes us to the end of the setup for the blanket and the shawl. Again, work the setup B, that's for the symmetrical if you're doing that version. And then if you are doing the symmetrical versions, you're going to want to jump to row 5 to start, and then you can watch 5, 6, 7, and 8, and then 1, 2, 3, 4. So row 1. So you work our edge stitches. Slip your stitch marker, drop your stitch marker. All right. So row 1, we start with purl 1, knit 2, purl 4. Sorry, this is the beginning of our repeat. So the repeat starts with a purl 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then we're going to do a cable 4 front. So I am going to work this twice. The first time I'm going to go ahead and use a cable needle to work the cable stitches. So cable 4 front, take 2 stitches off the left needle, hold them to the front of your work, knit 2 stitches, bring the 2 stitches back and either work them from the cable needle or from your left needle, knit those 2 stitches. All right, we'll just work that repeat again. So purl 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then work a cable 4 front. So bring 2 stitches off your left needle onto your cable needle and hold that to the front, knit 2 stitches from the left needle, and then knit the 2 stitches from your cable needle. And you'll just continue doing that repeat until you have 7 stitches remaining before your marker. And you're going to purl 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, knit 2, 1, 2, and purl 1. Work your edge stitches, or slip your stitch marker and then work your edge stitches. And that is the end of row 1. Row 2. So row 2 and all of the wrong side rows, I didn't write it like this, just because I wanted to keep it very beginner friendly. But if you are more advanced and you're capable of reading your stitches on all the wrong side rows of Clue 9, you're just going to be working the stitches in the order that they present. That is, you're going to be knitting the knits and purling the purls. So we begin row 2 with knit 1, then we purl 2, knit 4, and then you have a pattern repeat. The pattern repeat for row 2 is purl 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, knit 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. That repeat again, purl 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, knit 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and that should take you to 3 stitches before the marker, and then you'll just purl 2, knit 1, slip your stitch marker, work your edge stitches. That is the end of row 2. All right, row 3. Work your edge stitches. Slip your stitch marker. Purl 1. And then our pattern repeat for row 3. Again, this is worked with a cable needle. You can jump ahead if you want to watch it without a cable needle. We start with a twist 4 front. So 2 stitches come off the left needle, be held to the front. We're going to purl 2. And then we'll knit the 2 stitches that we had on the cable needle. You can either work them directly from the cable needle or put them back on the left needle. And then we work a twist 4 back. And so we take 2 stitches off of the left needle onto the cable needle, hold them to the back of the work, knit 2 stitches from the left needle, and then bring the stitches back from the cable needle and either work from the cable needle or put them back on the left needle, and we're going to purl those 2 stitches. All right, so that repeat again. We have a twist 4 front, so 2 stitches come off the left needle to the front, purl 2, knit the 2 stitches from the cable needle, and then a twist 4 back, 2 stitches come off the left needle onto the cable needle, held to the back of the work, knit 2 stitches from the left needle, and then purl the 2 stitches that were on the cable needle. And you're just going to repeat that until you have one stitch remaining. So the twist 4 front, 2 stitches off the left needle onto the cable needle held to the front, purl 2, knit 2 stitches from the cable needle, and then a twist 4 back, 2 stitches off the cable needle or off the left needle onto the cable needle held to the back, knit the next 2 stitches on the left needle, and then purl the 2 stitches that were on the cable needle. And once you've finished repeating everything, you should have 1 stitch remaining, and you're just going to purl that. Slip your stitch marker, work your edge stitches, and that is the end of row 3. All right, row 4, work your edge stitches, knit 1, and again, if you're, actually I should have said knit 3, but if you're familiar with reading your stitches, you should just be able to knit the knits and purl the purls. So we start with the knit 3, so I've done 1, here's 2, and 3, then we purl 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. And then our row 4 pattern repeat is knit 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, purl 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Again, knit 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, purl 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. And you just work that row 4 pattern repeat until you have 3 stitches remaining, and then you're going to knit 3, 1, 2, 3, slip your stitch marker, and work your edge stitches. That is the end of row 4. Row 5, work your edge stitches, slip your stitch marker. Row 5, we start with purl 3, 1, 2, 3. Then we work a cable 4 back. So we bring our stitch cable needle 2 stitches off the end of the left needle, hold to the back of the work, knit 2, and then knit the 2 stitches from the cable needle, or put them back on the left needle and work them. And then our stitch repeat for row 5 is purl 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then a cable 4 back. So again, 2 stitches from the left needle onto the cable needle held to the back of the work, knit 2, and then bring those 2 stitches from the cable needle back and either knit them from the cable needle or knit them from the left needle. Knit 1, knit 2, That repeat again, purl 4, 2, 3, 4, and then cable 4 back. So slip 2 stitches from the left needle onto the cable needle, hold it to the back of the work, knit 2 stitches from the left needle, and then knit the 2 stitches that you put on the cable needle, either by working directly from the cable needle or putting them back on your left needle. And then to end row 5, we're just going to work a purl 3, 1, 2, 3, slip our stitch marker, and then work our edge stitches. And that is the end of row 5. Row 6, work your edge stitches. Begin with a knit 3, 1, 2, 3. And again, if you can read your stitches, knit the knits and purl the purls. Otherwise, our pattern repeat is purl 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, knit 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. That repeat again, purl 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, knit 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then you should have 7 stitches remaining once you finished all your repeats. I'm going to purl 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, knit 3, 1, 2, 3, slip your stitch marker, work your edge stitches, and that is the end of row 6. All right, row 7. Work your edge stitches. Slip your stitch marker. And then row 7, we begin with a purl 1. And we're doing twist stitches. So our pattern repeat is twist 4 back, 2 stitches off onto the cable needle and held to the back of the work, knit 2. And then we're going to purl the 2 that are on the cable needle. And then we're going to do a twist 4 front. So 2 stitches come off the left needle onto the cable needle, held to the front. Purl 2 from the left needle. Then we knit the 2 from the cable needle. That pattern repeat again. Twist 4 back, so 2 stitches come off the left needle onto the cable needle, held to the back, knit 2 stitches from the left needle, and we're going to purl the 2 stitches that are being held on the cable needle. Then a twist 4 front, so 2 stitches come off the left needle onto the cable needle being held to the front, purl 2 from the left needle. And then we're going to knit the 2 stitches from the cable needle. Repeat one more time. It's a twist 4 front, so no, sorry, a twist 4 back. So 2 stitches come off the left needle to the cable needle, held to the back, knit 2. Those 2 stitches come back, and we're going to purl those. Purl 2, and then a twist 4 front. Oops, got ahead of myself. 2 stitches come off the left needle onto the cable needle, held to the front, purl 2 from the left needle, and then knit the 2 stitches that were being held on the cable needle. And that should take you until you have 1 stitch remaining. You're going to purl 1, slip your stitch marker, work your edge stitches, and that is the end of row 7. All right, row 8, work your edge stitches, slip your stitch marker, knit 1, purl 2, knit 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. And again, if you can read your stitches, you're just knitting the knits and purling the pearls. Otherwise, the pattern repeat is, wait, no, before we get to the pattern repeat, we're going to purl 2. And then the pattern repeat is purl 2, 1, 2, knit 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, purl 2, 1, 2, repeat that, purl 2, 1, 2, knit 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, purl 2. And when you get to the end of your repeat, you should have 1 stitch remaining, and you're going to do a knit 1, slip your stitch marker, work your edge stitches, and that is the end of row 8. So now I am going to work rows 1 through 8. Well, yeah. I'm going to work rows 1 through 7 one more time, just to be able to work the cable stitches without using the cable needle. So if you want to watch that, you can continue. If you jumped here, then here we go. And if you just want to keep using the cable needle, then you can just jump back to row 1 and watch that again if you want. All right, so row 1, without a cable needle, work your edge stitches. Slip your stitch marker. The stitch marker is linked in the pattern or in the video description below. All right, row 1, we begin with purl 1. We knit 2. And then our pattern repeat as follows. Purl 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. And then we're going to do a cable 4 front. So I'm going to bring my right needle behind the first 2 stitches on the left needle, purlwise into the 3rd and 4th stitches, pull my left needle out of all 4 stitches, and then bring it across the front, purlwise into the 2nd and then 1st stitch, bring the stitches on the right needle around, put them on the tip of the left needle, and then I'm going to knit all 4 stitches. 1, 2, 3, 4. Pattern repeat again, purl 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, cable 4 front, bring my right needle behind the first 2 stitches, purlwise into the 3rd and 4th stitch on the left needle, pinch at the base, pull my left needle out of all 4 stitches, bring it across the front and into stitch 2 and 1, bring the stitches on the right needle across the back, put them on the tip of the left needle, and knit all 4 stitches. 1, 2, 3, 4, and again I'm making sure I'm knitting into the center of each of those stitches and that I am working the new loop all the way up onto the shaft of my right needle. All right, so you should have 7 stitches remaining once you finish the repeats, and you're going to purl 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, knit 2, 1, 2, purl 1, slip your stitch marker, work your edge stitches, and that is the end of row 1 without a cable needle. So row 2, you can follow the pattern or you can just read your stitches and knit the knits and purl the purls. So work your edge stitches. Slip your stitch marker, knit 1, purl 2, knit 4, pattern repeat is purl 4, knit 4, that repeat again, purl 4, knit 4, and then to end the row, you're going to purl 2, knit 1, slip your stitch marker, work your edge stitches, and that is the end of row 2. Row 3, without a stitch marker or without a cable needle, work your edge stitches, slip your stitch marker, purl 1, I'm going to do a twist 4 front, so bring the right needle purlwise into the 2 stitches, go behind the first 2 stitches on the left needle, purlwise into the 3rd and 4th stitches, pinch at the base, pull the left needle out, insert it into stitch 2 and 1, bring the stitches on the right needle around the back and onto the left needle, and then purl 2, knit 2, then we have a twist 4 back, so I put all 4 stitches on my right needle first, bring my left needle behind the first 2 stitches and purlwise into the next 2, bring my right needle out, across the front, purlwise into the 2 stitches that are hanging out over here on the left, bring those across, put them on the tip of the left needle, knit 2, purl 2, that repeat again, twist 4 front. So my right needle comes behind the first 2 stitches on the left needle, purlwise into the 3rd and 4th stitch, pinch the first 2 stitches at the base, bring my left needle out of all 4 stitches. Left needle comes across the front and into those 2 stitches, bring the right needle around, put those 2 stitches on the left needle, purl 2, knit 2. And we have a repeat. No, so sorry. Then we do the twist 4 back. So 4 stitches onto right needle. Left needle comes behind those 2 stitches into the next 2 stitches, pinch at the base, pull your right needle out, bring it across the front and purlwise into those 2 stitches. Bring those around, put them on the tip of the left needle, knit 2, purl 2. Again, we repeat that. We're going to do a twist 4 front. So right needle comes behind the first 2 stitches on the left needle and purlwise into the 3rd and 4th stitch. Pinch at the base, bring your left needle out across the front into those 2 stitches. Bring the right needle around, put those stitches from the back onto the left needle. Purl 2. Knit 2. And then a twist 4 back. So 4 stitches come over to the right needle. Left needle comes behind and goes into the further to the right 2 stitches. Pinch at the base, pull the right needle out, insert it back into, purl, come across the front and insert it into those 2 stitches. Bring those across the front. Put them on the tip of the left needle, knit 2. Purl 2. And at the end of your row, you should have 1 stitch remaining and work a purl 1. Slip your stitch marker, work your edge stitches. That is the end of row 3. Row 4. Again, if you can read your stitches, you're just going to work your edge stitches and then knit the knits and purl the purls. So after you slip your stitch marker, row 4, knit 3. Purl 4. And then, oops. Pattern repeat, knit 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, purl 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Again, knit 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, purl 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. And you should have 3 stitches remaining before you get to the marker, and you're just going to knit all 3. That is the pattern repeat for row 4. Now that's after you slip your stitch marker, work your edge stitches. That is the end of row 4. Row 5, work your edge stitches. Slip your stitch marker. Row 5 starts with a purl 3. And this row has the cable 4 back. So I'm going to work those by first moving all 4 stitches over to my right needle. Bringing my left needle behind stitches. So if this is stitch 1, 2, 3, 4, then I'm going to bring my right needle or my left needle behind stitches 3 and 4, go purlwise into stitch 2 and 1, pinch, bring my right needle out of all 4 stitches, and then come across the front with my right needle and go purlwise into stitch 3 and 4. Bring those around, put them in on the tip of my left needle, and then I'm going to knit all 4 stitches. 1, 2, 3, 4. All right. And now the stitch pattern repeat for row 5. Purl 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then a cable 4 back. So again, stitch 1, 2, 3, and 4, come all the way onto my right needle. My left needle comes behind stitch 3 and 4, goes purlwise into stitch 2 and 1. I pinch stitch 3 and 4 at the base, bring my right needle out of all 4 stitches, bring my right needle across the front, purlwise into stitch 3 and 4, bring them around, put them on the tip of my left needle, and then knit all 4 stitches. 1, 2, 3, 4. That pattern repeat again. Purl 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, cable 4 back, 4 stitches, 1, 2, 3, and 4, come onto my right needle. My left needle comes behind 3 and 4 and goes purlwise into 1 and 2. I pinch 3 and 4 at the base, pull my right needle out of all 4 stitches, bring my right needle across the front of 1 and 2, and into purlwise into 3 and 4, bring them around, put them on my left needle, knit all 4 stitches. 1, 2, 3, 4. And once you've worked that and you have 3 stitches remaining, you're just going to purl the last 3 stitches. 2, 3. Slip your stitch marker, work your edge stitches. And that is the end of row 5. Row 6. Work your edge stitches. Slip your stitch marker. And again, if you're familiar with reading your stitches, just knit the knits and purl the purls. Otherwise, knit 3, 2, 3. Then the pattern repeat, purl 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, knit 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. That repeat again, purl 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, knit 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. When you've got 7 stitches remaining, you'll finish up by working a purl 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, knit 3, 1, 2, 3, and slip your stitch marker. Oops. Work your edge stitches. And that is the end of row 6. All right, finally, row 7 without using a cable needle. Work your edge stitches. Oops. Slip your stitch marker. Row 7 begins with purl 1. And then we are going to work our pattern repeat, which is a twist 4 back. So all 4 stitches come to the right needle, bring the left needle behind the first 2 stitches, purlwise into the next 2 stitches, pinch at the base, bring your right needle out of all 4 stitches, and then come across the front, purlwise into the 3rd and 4th stitch. Put those on the tip of your left needle. Then you're going to knit 2, purl 2. Then we work a twist 4 back. So the right needle comes across the back of the first 2 stitches on the left needle, purlwise into the 3rd and 4th stitch, pinch those first 2 stitches at the base, bring your left needle out, bring your left needle across the front, purlwise into those 2 stitches. Bring the stitches on the right needle across the back, put them on the tip of the left needle, purl 2, 1, 2, and then knit 2, 1, 2. So that pattern repeat again. First we do a twist 4 back, put 4 stitches on the right needle, bring the left needle across the back, purlwise into the 2 stitches further to the right, pinch at the base, bring your right needle out of all 4 stitches across the front into those 2 stitches on the left, bring those across the front, put them on the tip of the left needle, knit 2, purl 2, then we do the twist 4 front. Right needle comes behind the 2 stitches on the left needle, and then purlwise into the 3rd and 4th stitch, pinch at the base, pull your left needle out of all 4 stitches, bring it across the front, go purlwise into those 2 stitches that are hanging out in the front, bring the stitches on your right needle across the back, put them on the tip of your left needle, purl 2, knit 2. That repeat again. We're going to do a twist 4 back. So 4 stitches come to the right needle. Bring your left needle across the back behind 2 stitches and then purlwise into the next 2 stitches. Pinch at the base. Bring your left needle out of all, or your right needle out of all 4 stitches. Bring it across the front of the 2 stitches on the left needle. Purlwise into those next 2 stitches. Bring those around the front. Put them on the tip of the left needle. Knit 2, purl 2, then we do a twist 4 front. So we bring our right needle behind the first 2 stitches on the left needle, purlwise into the 2 stitches after that, pinch those first 2 stitches at the base, pour the left needle out of all 4 stitches, and then bring it across the front and into those 2 stitches. Purlwise, bring the stitches on the right needle around behind and put them on the tip of the left needle. Purl 2. Knit 2. And then once you've done the whole row, you should have 1 stitch remaining. Purl that stitch, slip your stitch marker, work your edge stitches, and that concludes row 7. That also concludes this tutorial. So if there's anything I missed, anything you'd like to see closer up, slowed down with more explanation, anything like that, please let me know. Otherwise, good luck, and I will see you for clue 10. Thanks.